Man, oh man, boxing, I tell you. Jermell Charlo Castano undisputed fight now in jeopardy. Brian Castano's team is saying he is injured and may be unable to fight at the former Staples Center. We're about to talk about that in this video. Stay tuned. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. We unpacked. Bad news. Undisputed fight may now be brought into question. Boxing reporters are talking about this. It says, my boxing story on the delay Charlo Castano due to Brian Castano suffering a slight bicep tear. Injury postpones a planned March 19th rematch by at least 4 weeks, which complicates things from a sanctioning body sense, right? Told that Brian Castano is unable to move forward with the announced March 19th fight with Jermell Charlo due to bicep injury. The untimely delay could severely impact plans to move forward with undisputed championship, given at least 2 past due mandatory title defenses. Delay will be a minimum of 4 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Castano is doing his best to train around the injury and maintain weight, but will require a lot of cooperation for undisputed championship to move forward uninterrupted beyond the current postponement. Now, this is partly the WBO, this is their part of their response, because in an undisputed fight, that means in the 4-belt era, all 4 titles. So this is the president of the WBO. I'm on his page right now. And this is when he got wind of this information. This is what he said. Castano versus Charlo. Looks like no unification will take place. Who can you blame? Probably Castano. And then he tagged a couple people. So, I don't really know what that's supposed to mean other than, what we know. Of course you have to blame Castano. He's the one that's injured. It's something on his side, if you will. But the shaky thing is, for this fight to have happened, there was a lot of doubts were being casted on this fight happening after the first fight, because keep in mind, the first fight was a draw. So that already created a situation, because Charlo Castano part 1 that happened on Saturday, July 17th, amazing fight, but there was no actual winner of the fight, and it was scored a draw. Different fans feel different things. Some fans say Charlo won. Some fans believe Castano won. But needless to say, the 3 people in charge of judging it, they had decided it was a draw. So that left each fighter with what they came into the ring with. So if you had this amount of belts, 3 belts, 4 belts, or 3 belts, then you left with that. Brian Castano left with his belt. But after the fight, a lot of people doubted that the rematch would happen, an immediate rematch, because they both had mandatories that had popped up. So Brian Castano Charlo 1 was really supposed to decide an almighty being at 154 with all 4 belts. That didn't happen because, as I just mentioned, it ended in a draw. So as a result, we didn't get a clear-cut victor, and both fighters, they entered the belt and left the belt with the belts that they had. So since we didn't get an actual undisputed at the end of the fight, aka 1 victor with all 4 belts, both fighters, depending on what belts they had mandatories that they were supposed to fight, which create other complexities in terms of they're not going to be able to fight because they had mandatory fights. So a lot of people speculated the rematch, immediate rematch, was out of the question, as they both had mandatories, one being son of legend Castano, his son Tim Tszyu of Australia, right? So somehow, some way, we got the news that Brian Castano and Charlo, this is why I like to do the unpacks. If you're unfamiliar with my channel, Unpacked is my original series where I just really unpack what's going on in boxing. So they're very detailed. I got other short content if you're looking for that. But anytime you see the unpacks, get your popcorn, get your sunglasses, and take notes and just be ready, because I'm going to go in a bit more detail in these videos. Continuing, Jermell Charlo, Brian Castano won. They both basically had mandatories that they were supposed to fight, which a lot of people didn't think we would get an immediate rematch. But we got an immediate rematch announcement, all to find out now that Castano is saying that he's injured, right? WBO, they released this on their website. And again, these unpacks, we really deep dive into what's going on. So I don't want to overwhelm you. You guys can rewind or pause at any time if it's too much information. But the WBO, who again, they were willing to allow Brian Castano versus Jermell Charlo Part 2, even though they hadn't fought their mandatories, because their mandatories were going to be like Castano's son, Tim Tszyu, was supposed to be on this card versus Terrell Gausha. Now, I don't know what's going to happen, because Castano, the main event, is saying he can't. So it's caused the WBO to issue a show cause. It says, Mr. Tom Brown, blah, 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 Sebastian Contorsi, who is the manager, and Jermell Charlo. It says, reply, a show cause notice for WBO junior middleweight champion Brian Castano. Gentlemen, please be advised that the WBO committee confirmed the receipt email correspondence on this date, Wednesday the 16th. Mr. Matt Rose of No Limit Promotion and representatives of Tim Tszyu indicating that TGB informed Mr. Rose that the undisputed fight between Charlo and Castano that was scheduled for March at the Crypto Arena Staples Center had been canceled due to an injury suffered by Brian Castano, right? So the mandatories that are waiting, it looks like they're growing impatient. Castano is unavailable to participate as scheduled. Consequently, TGB Promotions involved and informed Mr. Rose that Charlo versus Castano would be rescheduled for either the months of May or June. See enclosed email. Considering the preceding circumstances and Mr. Rose's objection that the WBO title defense is further delayed, he requests that the committee proceeds with the immediate enforcement of WBO mandatory title defense between Brian Castano and Tim Tszyu accordingly. Therefore, having this committee consider the above facts and circumstances, having reviewed our governing rules and regulations, as well as the relevant resolutions or agreements pertaining to the Charlo Castano, TGB Promotions has 24 hours upon issuance of this notice letter to, quote, show cause why the WBO committee shall not enforce the mandatory defense between Brian Castano and Tim Tszyu and order negotiations between the two parties. Wow. Lastly, the committee reserves the rights for the final ruling, yada, yada, yada. So, man, this throws a huge monkey wrench in the situation. So basically, Tim Tszyu's representation reached out to the WBO and they said, all right, we were going to fight Terrell Gausha and get out the way to allow Charlo Castano too, but now they playing around or Charlo, not Charlo, but Castano's playing around and he's saying he's injured now. We don't feel like just waiting because that's, a couple more months. We got to hope he's ready to go and then wait for the winner, yada, yada, yada. So they're growing impatient. So per their rules, see, and this is what happens in boxing. When you know the rules, you know who to contact and your deadlines and things like that. And whoever is representing Castano, they must have read the fine print or revisited the rule set. So now they're pushing their line and pushing their issue, trying to fight Brian Castano, saying Tim Tszyu needs to fight Brian Castano when he's healthy instead of going into the Charlo fight. So now the promoter of this event, to keep it together, they have to submit something to the WBO to show cause. So I'm assuming like a doctor's note and an explanation or like a rescheduled date, you know, give them more information so they can consider everybody's request. I mean, this is just horrible. Boxing is off to a sluggish start this year, and this definitely doesn't help when you have an undisputed fight, and then now you might not have an undisputed fight, because truth be told, I wanted to see this fight. I don't want to see Tim Tszyu versus Brian Castano. I was very content seeing Tim Tszyu fight on the undercard with Terrell Goucher, get some exposure in the USA, and fight the winner of Charlo Castano. And I understand Castano is supposedly injured, but here's the thing. Jermell Charlo himself, he doesn't necessarily believe this injury, and I feel him. So Jermell Charlo posted this. It's him. He looks in shape. He got the mask on, and he looks like he's handling business. And this is what he said. He said, man, 2 times in a row, they done tried to pull the same stunt. Nah, I ain't buying it. I don't blame Charlo for feeling that way. This keeps happening. Bro, Charlo is a dog. This keeps happening to him, and it's never his fault. So Tony Harrison, I had plane tickets to go to Vegas or wherever the fight was supposed to be I went to Tony Harrison Charlo 1 in New York, and I had not tickets, but I was credentialed for Charlo versus Castano, or excuse me, Charlo versus Harrison. And then right before, I had already made my hotel reservations, flight reservations, and accommodations because I wanted to cover that fight. I went to the first one, Tony Harrison and Charlo Part 1, and then the press conference was lit. So I'm like, yeah, I got to go to the second one, right? And then weeks before, whenever Tony Harrison said he was injured, and he said it was his leg or his ankle or something like that. And then I still went and covered Charlo versus Jorge Cota, nasty knockout by Charlo. And my man Joey Spencer was on the undercard. So it was still cool, but it wasn't the fight where he was going to try to get his title back against Tony Harrison. Even though he did fight Tony Harrison later, Tony Harrison, he fought him in December. I went to that fight, covered that fight for you guys on the channel as well in Ontario, California. But Charlo's not causing these delays. Charlo is not responsible for any of these delays. So how is it he's staying healthy, staying ready, staying injury free, but his opponent keeps getting bashed up? Because now it's Brian Castano. Now I think he need more time, because I'm not the smartest brother in the world, but we just had Valentine's Day, which is on the 14th. That was a couple of days ago. And if you look at the calendar, today is February 17th. So March 19th, that's right around the corner. He got a month, basically, a month and a few days. Charlo, he knows Charlo's out there getting ready. And if you remember and recall, Brian Castano, there's interviews where he was saying after the Charlo first fight that he gained a lot of weight. Don't quote me on this, but I think he said he was like almost 200 pounds, like he was like 180, 190 pounds. And this is a guy who's campaigning at 154. So to me, I don't blame Charlo for having doubts, because this keeps happening to him from different opponents. Like, they don't want to give Charlo a second crack at it. You know what I mean? Because the first fight, he badly hurt Castano. It was a good fight. Castano hurt him, but I think Charlo hurt Castano more than the other way around. And if that report where Castano revealed that he had gained all this weight, that's probably the real issue. That's probably the real issue, you know. And there's also mandatory weigh-ins, because this is for all the belts. So the WBC, they do a 30-day WBC and a 14-day and a 7-day weigh-in. So if he's struggling and he's not close enough to weight, and you know, if you're a professional fighter, you know how to gauge this, and you know, like, man, I'm not gonna be able to make my 30-day weigh-in. I'm not gonna be able to make my 14-day weigh-in at this rate, you know what I'm saying, without at least harming my body and being weight drained and dehydrated. So there could be more than meets the eye, and he's saying it's his bicep. You know, maybe he's injured, maybe he's not, but I don't blame Charlo for being skeptical. People seem to not want to get that rematch with him. You know what I mean? Charlo seems like a very hungry and determined guy, and a prideful guy, like where he wants to set the record straight. And, you know, in boxing, these are the things that people do. Like, I don't believe Tyson Fury in the Wilder second fight. I don't believe Tyson Fury had the Rona and, you know, couldn't fight in the initial date in July. I think he was stalling for different reasons. So we'll just leave it at that. So now it's more BS with Jermell and Brian Castano. Very crushing. I'm gonna be upset if this fight doesn't happen. I understand Tim Tszyu, you know, as a fighter, he wants to get his shot, but for the greater good of boxing, I would hope he bows down and allows this fight, because this is what boxing needs. Boxing needs an undisputed, and then you can get your shine by trying to fight the winner or whatever. And that would be better. Like, to be honest, why wouldn't you want that? I understand Tim Tszyu has managers and people, you know, that are supposed to be looking at his best interest as well, but this fight will really solidify who's the real number one at 154. So why would you want to get in the way of that? Just out of impatience. Because if you fight Brian Castano, if he's able to beat Charlo in the rematch, which was a very difficult first fight, then that says more if you fight him. Or if Charlo beats Castano and then, you know, there's no controversy and he wins fair and square, and then you fight him, then that's just a bigger payday, and it's a bigger, more meaningful win. So I don't like the Tim Tszyu team getting in the way and trying to like interrupt this. Don't interrupt greatness. There we have it. Let me know how I did in this video. I'll let you know what happens, what the outcome is, but I really hope we still get this undisputed fight, because it's just a bad way to start off boxing, losing one of the most meaningful, best fights that was on the books, if that doesn't happen. And that's a heck of an opportunity for Derek James, because as it sat, it was supposed to be Charlo in March or whatever, and then Ugas and Errol Spence, Derek James' other fighter, in April. So that would have been back-to-back bangers, and then Castano's out here messing that up. Very aggravating. Let me know what you guys think. How would this play out? Subscribe to the channel. Let me know how I did. We Unpack, coming to you live. And I'm out. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster.